Good morning, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Nick. Today's story is entitled, I Am the Manager. So, where we last left off, we had just finished renovating the attic and the first floor. And now we were going to do our floor. We were going to do the kitchen, and we were going to do the living room in the back. Because it was one interconnected area that was kind of very out of date, and we wanted to make it look nice. What we were planning to do is we were going to have a wall taken down. We were going to get an island countertop. We were going to get some new cabinets. We were also going to get a standing cabinet from the floor to the ceiling. I believe those are called pantries. I'm not entirely sure. We were also going to get a new fridge because the one we had then, it was from 2006. The fridge that was there before then was a Whirlpool Harvest Gold refrigerator from about the 1980s that had a missing bottom panel. That fridge had been sort of on its last legs for many years, and my mother, being no expert to fixing things, but a very big expert to throwing it the fuck out and buying new china garbage, she decided, yeah, let's just chuck this old fridge because it's ugly. And let's get a new one. So we got a new one. I was not in charge of the decision at the time. Of course, I was 3 years old, so we got that, but that fridge has started to act funny within the last couple months, so we decided, yeah, this fridge, it's on its last legs. Let's get a new fridge while we're there. And we were also going to repaint the area because it just wasn't looking right. That paint was a little faded. And we were also going to do some other little things here and there, but those were kind of besides the point of the story. So we called up Christopher. He came and did his measurements to what we needed. We knew just how big we wanted it because we had actually looked it up. So he comes in, he does the measurements for what we need for the counters, for what we're going to need for the countertops, what we're going to need for the new flooring because we were going to get some new tiles. The fridge he leaves to us because he's a renovations guy, not an appliance guy. Hi, Moon. So he was the guy for renovations, not for appliances. So he was like, okay, I'll leave the fridge to you guys, but as far as all this counter stuff and the floors and the tiling and all this and that, he got it down. So he wrote down his measurements and what he needed. So he was going to order that and get his crew to start working on that. I believe, yeah, the initial set of renovations for the attic and the first floor was done in summer of 2010, or between the spring and summer of 2010, and Moon's here, and we decided that we were going to put the next set of renovations for the kitchen and the living room on hold until next summer, because we kind of wanted a break from the noise, and school was coming up, and all this and that. So we put it on hold. The fridge managed to survive somehow. I don't know how. So the next summer rolls around, and by then, Krys has all his guys ready. He has the materials ready, and he has some other stuff ready. But there's some other stuff that we need to take care of too, in terms of appliances, because we needed the new fridge, and we also needed a new microwave, by the way, because this was still during the era of the mysterious microwave. If you don't know the mysterious microwave, look in the description. There's a link to that story. You can watch it if you don't know what I'm talking about. So we needed a new microwave, and that microwave had to go. We were going to replace it with a countertop microwave. We were going to get a shelf from Lowe's, and that was also where we were going to get the pantry. Now we move on to the next part of the story, Lowe's. This is where the action happens. So we had to go to Lowe's for the fridge, the microwave, some shelves that we wanted, as well as the pantry. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but I'm just going to keep calling that. So we went there and we made our decisions on what we wanted. The shelves were no big deal. The appliances, we rung those up and we scheduled a delivery date, and bada bing, bada boom, we're out the door and on our way home. Nope. Not in our lives. Not in our lives. It cannot be as easy as that. So We go to Lowe's, and the store is enormous. The store had only been open for a couple months at that point. I believe not even 3 or 4. So it was kind of still a bit disorganized. It was just coming off its initial opening rush. So we go there and we search and we search and we search, and finally we find some shelves that we think are decent. So we decide to ring those up for something we're going to come back for. I believe we were going to come back on the weekend to pick up a set, but we just wanted to make sure that by the time we got there that nobody else would have taken them, so we rung that up. We also went for the pantry, and somehow we had finally found something that worked. My mother didn't want it too big, she didn't want it too small, but she also wanted it to look nice, so we were able to get that. And we were also able to pick out a cabinet style, which we had not done because Krys and his team couldn't do that. They could only do the counter. They could only do the counter and the tiling from the resources they had. So we sort of had to pick the cabinets and the shelves on our own. And we were able to do that while we were there. And we had sent all that information to him the next day. But this is still at Lowe's, so we're going to continue this part of the story right now. So when we get to the register, the person that's there, he's this older looking guy who looks like he knows what he's doing, but actually he's totally fucking incompetent. And he keeps putting in the item number wrong. He keeps fucking it up. He's this old guy on the computer like, 2. Where's the 2? Oh, wait, that was the 7. Now I gotta restart the whole thing. He was taking forever, and it was getting on her nerves. I was there at the time, my mother was there, and also my grandmother was there, because she just wanted to tag along, because why not? She had actually not been to the Lowe's store yet, so she wanted to see what it was like. So, we are just sitting there, and this guy really has no clue what he's doing, and at this point we're starting to get annoyed. We're starting to get annoyed because he's taking up our patience, he's taking too long to do his job, and he just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. It gets to the point where we basically just want to leave that register, but the problem is he's the only one there. This was during the later hours of the day, so they didn't have any other cashiers. They had other clerks throughout the store who, you know, their only job is to tell you, sorry, that's not my department. Let me ring someone up and see if somebody in the store actually knows how to do something. That's their job. This was the only guy at the registers, and by this point, they didn't have self-checkouts. Lowe's has some self-checkouts now, but not in these days. So we're basically hinging our entire lives on him. So my mother, she's starting to really get annoyed, and she tells him off. She's like, you, buddy, what's the holdup? What's taking you so long? What's so hard about typing in a couple numbers? And he's like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm really not good at computers and typing shit in. So she calls out to him, sir, I would like to speak to your manager. Where is your manager? And at that point, his eyes light up and he goes, I am the manager, ma'am. And she just looks at him like, you're the manager? How do you not know how to operate a computer? And he's like, I just don't. So finally, one of these stupid clerks comes over who's young, and she fucking types in this shit right away. Boop, 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 boop. Here's your order, here's your number, here's your price, let's pay, and let's get out of here. That fucking quick. And that old guy who was apparently the manager, he just did not know what he was doing. So after all that hassle, we finally had the stuff on order, and the renovation soon started, and in about a week, actually I think 5 or 6 days, they had the tile in. Well, not before ripping out the old tile first, which was, Yeah, first it was they had to rip out the old wall. There was a wall sort of between the living room and the kitchen. It was sort of one of these you can slide a plate through there, like ding ding, order up type walls. And there were also some stools on the kitchen side. And that wall was taken out completely. And then the old tile was ripped out because the tile was in the living room as much as it was the kitchen. It didn't extend into the dining area. The dining area, it was a hardwood floor, and that stretched through the rest of the house. Well, except the bathroom, which was a different design of tile. This design of tile was what was seen in the basement hallway between where the bedroom was and where the laundry room was. The only difference was the tile down there was really cracked and broken. I'm not entirely sure why. Probably something to do with the fact that it was in a basement, but I'm no structural expert. So they ripped out the wall and tile first. They put in the new tile. While they did that, they rerouted the old connections to the sink, which used to be up against the wall. If you've seen the Throwback Thursday videos, there might be some episodes of you can see where that is. It's up against the wall by where the microwave was. That connection was also dropped. The stove connection was moved to where the sink used to be, actually just to the right of it. And the dishwasher was moved to the island just next to the sink. And we also got a much bigger sink, a much deeper sink. So that was put up. All those connections were made sure that they were nice. And the new fridge was brought in from Lowe's. And the new cabinets were brought in. And Krys and his team, they put them up. And the pantry came and we put that up, and they installed a hood for the oven, which ended up having some piece of paper stuck in it from the installation. It was like one of these instruction manuals. By some fucking miracle, someone left the instruction manual inside the hood, or some piece of paper. I'm not sure what it was, but from then on, whenever we used the hood, it would always go some shit like that. So, after all that hassle, we finally had the kitchen renovated. We had a fridge that sung. We had an oven, or we had a stove with a digital display. We had a dishwasher from 1992. A very big sink with terrible water pressure, because that house had terrible water pressure to start with. And we also repainted, because that area also needed new paint too. It's not like the paint there was that ugly orange shit that Tatiana used in the basement. It was just a white paint that was worn out, and also the result of holes being put in the wall over the last couple of years. My mother likes to do that a lot, as you can see. So we'd gotten all that done, and it looked nice. And that was the most important part. And I believe in some, I don't know. Here's the thing, I'm recording this before these videos are posted. I'm not sure off the top of my head if any of the Throwback Thursdays from the Handycam feature the new kitchen, but I know there's some from my mother's phone. Yes, there's some Throwback Thursdays that were recorded on my mother's phone that do sort of feature the new kitchen. But I do know there's evidence of the new kitchen being on camera. And definitely of the old kitchen too, because that's when most of those videos were recorded. So you can take a look and make the comparison for yourself. I'll make a note in the description if there's any Throwback Thursday so far, because I'm not sure when this one in particular is going to be released. But if there's any episodes that feature that, I'll be sure to link them. But so at long last, the summer was coming to a close. The first floor renovated and repainted. My grandparents living there. The second floor, the kitchen and the living room, renovated. No more beeping microwave at 3 a.m. Water pressure, as bad as usual. And we now had a hood range vent that rattled. And the attic, no more carpet to pee on. Well, also no more Kobe to pee on there, too. Yeah, that's about it. So, this concludes the renovation stories. And just 3 years later, we moved out of that house anyway, because fuck it. And now we live here. So, thank you for watching. and I hope you enjoyed.